It is that time, my friends. The Modern Warfare patch is here. It's crazy because this patch, this update, was more anticipated than the game's actual launch. But the question is, did they fix what actually needed fixing? Did they actually listen to the community when it came to all the complaints and constructive criticisms with the game? Well, I am going to let you guys determine that. We are going to go over the entire list in depth of patch notes for Modern Warfare v1.07 update. And this is the first of probably many fine-tuning updates that they are going to do. As always, guys, the PlayStation 4 giveaway is active. All you have to do is drop a like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel with your notifications on in the comment section. Let me know, why do you want to win this PlayStation 4, and include your Twitter handle. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing is some free content across all platforms, which you can never go wrong with. There is nobody in the world that should have a reason to gripe about free stuff. We've got Krovnik Farmland, which has been added to Ground War. They needed another Ground War map desperately. I just hope tanks can't sit on some ridge on this one. And Shoot House, which is a 6v6 multiplayer map with 3 lanes. And they added Hardpoint into the rotation. They also said that Shoot House is going to be a 24/7 mode, which will be a mixture of team deathmatch, domination, kill confirmed, and headquarters. So that is a great way to kick things off. But now let's get in to the actual patch notes. What did they do to make our gaming experience better? Well, we're going to start off with the general fixes, okay? This is courtesy of Charlie Intel. If you guys want to go back through this, I'll put a link in the description to their article. Back-end fixes to prevent crashes and improve stability across all platforms include dev errors and various performance fixes. They fixed for a few bugs where some streaks and field upgrades were being able to be flown out of bounds without penalty. General out-of-bounds fixes were also added. They fixed a bug where a player being killed by an enemy with a variable zoom scope would not see the zoom function in the kill cam. A fix for the Simtex warning audio being heard at the same volume, whether in a building or outside. We're going to get into more audio fixes as well. In headquarters, players were able to place attack insert and respawn when their team owned that point. They have now fixed that. Fix for various collision issues across the map. They added UI that shows when XP events are active in playlist menus. Sprint and tactical sprint speeds are now back to speeds in the beta. That is something a lot of people were asking for. They fixed a bug where the progress of the bomb defusal can be seen by the team that planted the bomb. They fixed a bug that revealed players to UAVs when they fired their weapons, even if they had Ghost and a silencer equipped. And they also fixed an issue where if multiple personal radars were active for one team and they were both marking the same enemy, only one player would see the enemy on their mini-map. So those are the general bug fixes. Now let's get into some more specifics. Riot Shield, Claymores, and Battle Chatter. They fixed an issue where the throwing knife and the thermite were not causing the shield to go on the player's back when it was thrown. We've also fixed the issue where explosive splash damage wasn't working consistently, and they'll continue to fine-tune the Riot Shield. This is probably the best Riot Shield we've ever had. It covers you head to toe. It was vital using this against, well, it didn't really stop Claymores, but it was vital using it against the 725. Now, Claymores, my friends. Detonating an enemy Claymore with bullets is now non-lethal when you are at full health. So if you are not hurt, you haven't been in a gunfight, you're at full health, and you shoot an enemy Claymore, it will not hurt you. They've also reduced the trigger and damage radius, and they also reduced the damage width to better match the trigger width. So what they're saying there is the blast radius is not as big. If there's a Claymore hiding behind a staircase and you somehow get an angle on it and you shoot it from 10 feet away, it's not going to blow you back against the wall, in theory, okay? And Battle Chatter. They removed the ability for enemies to hear when they've been called out by the opposing team. This was a big one. They've also adjusted the enemy callouts so they are never from your operator. Enemy callouts now use a more restricted cone at the hip and even more restricted in aim down sight mode when calculating whether or not to trigger. We'll continue to monitor and make additional tweaks to Battle Chatter. That was a big one as well. All right, let's move on to mounting, perks, lighting, and footsteps. They slightly increased the recoil to mounting. When I say mounting, I mean mounting, like mounting on the side of a door, mounting on a window seal, mounting on a box. And I think, I'm going to predict now, I think it's going to get to a point where mounting isn't even viable, and they'll look back and be like, why did we put it in the game? That's just my personal thought on it, okay? Perks. The only perk they did anything to was EOD. It now clamps damage to a non-lethal amount, assuming the player is at full health. Lighting. This is big issue. You can't see the enemies. There's so many corners and nooks and crannies to hide, and they said continued updates to player visibility in dark windows and dark areas. And then one of the biggest issues, footsteps. We all sound like we're an 800-pound elephant. We've increased the occlusion percentage to filter footstep sounds behind geometry and adjusted footstep volume at a distance. We have another large footstep change coming in the next update, which will make crouch and ADS movement significantly quieter. Stay tuned. That one may be good, it may be bad, because everybody's walking around crouched with the 725 right now, and if they're going to be even more quiet, that could be a tough one. But they are working on the footsteps and how loud everybody is. So it's good. It's good. Okay. Challenges, progression, and rank. Daily challenges and active missions are getting a full sweep of testing and fixing. We'll have more updates in the future. They fixed a bug where the Infiltrator challenge wasn't tracking. They fixed for launchers not giving XP when shooting down kill streaks. Fixed a bug where planting or defusing 5 bombs in Cyber Attacker SMD was not tracking. Camo challenge for kills after a reload didn't give the player enough time to acquire a kill, so they increased the time limit on that one. And they fixed a bug where your XP required to reach the next rank was higher than the value needed. Now, the big one, the one that most everybody focuses in on. Weapons. Weapons. What did they do to change the meta of the game? Well, the 725 shotgun was at the top of the list. They increased the ADS and the hip spread. They reduced the damage range. It will not be as effective at distance as it was, and they increased the ADS, I'm assuming the aim down sight time, and the hip fire spread. So that is a true nerf. All three negative aspects towards where the 725 was. So my question to you guys is, do you feel it? Get in there, use it. Let me know what you think. The other one that is the most popular gun in the game right along the shotgun is the M4A1 assault rifle. And they reduced the damage range on it, and they bumped up a small recoil increase. Once again, 2 nerfs, no positives. Let's see if it actually makes a difference and gets people off of these 2 guns. Then, assault rifles. They increased hip fire spread to reduce effectiveness up close, made them where they're not like SMGs. Less damage at long range for full auto 5.56 rifles. That's a nerf. SMGs, they increased the movement speed, they increased ADS movement speed, and a small reduction in sprint out time. So, basically, those are all buffs. 3 buffs for the SMGs. I knew that was going to happen. I even called it in my last video. They were going to do something to the Uzi, and guess what? They did. The Uzi SMG has increased damage range. There you go. Let's see if this thing is viable for once in its life. Can the Uzi get to the top of the meta? The MG34 LMG, they increased the hipfire spread, damage range reduction, small ADS slowdown. The M91 LMG, same thing, increased hip spread, small damage range reduction. The PKM, same thing, but a medium damage range reduction. And the pistols, they increased the movement speed, reduced sprint out time, increased damage range. Those are all buffs. They want the pistols to be viable. Crouch and prone no longer adjust recoil. That's actually probably the biggest thing out of all those notes right there. They also updated rule sets for CDL competitive modes, and then we get into a little bit of cyber attack and ground war. They fixed some bugs where you weren't able to spawn in certain places, and that tack insert that would have you spawn on the enemy home base, which I actually put a video up about. Then we get into Spec Ops. That's how we're going to end this. Pick up intel in the Operations Explorer Verdansk to find additional backstory, blah, blah, blah. Fix scoreboards for displaying incorrect data. XP adjustments and general backend fixes, various fixes for out-of-bounds and parachute exploits. The respawn timer no longer stays on the screen after teammates are revived. Fix for an issue where the munitions were not usable after respawning via gunship. They fixed for losing your weapons when picking up in core. Achievements can now be unlocked in CP, and fix for issues where players could spawn with their weapons in the down state. They picked up munitions no longer carry over match to match, and when respawning via the gunship, you will no longer be given the tank role. Selecting an allegiance operator or allegiance as a favorite faction will now properly assign a voice and then some Operation Crosswind Paladin stuff they fixed. They fixed a bug where no UI or indicator of where to go or how to finish the objective is there. And finally, they fixed a bug where the default weapon was different than the weapon a player would hold in Last Stand. So all I care about on that one is make it where the game doesn't crash for me, and then we'll go from there. And there you have it, my friends. Those are the complete patch notes for Modern Warfare. It is a huge, huge patch. Now let's jump in the game and see if it actually did some good. You guys let me know your thoughts on it, and I'll see you soon.